Hey there, Pod Pals. Are you a print-on-demand creator looking to stay ahead of the curve? You want to know exactly when to launch your designs for every key season and event? How about a chuckle with an extra dad joke to brighten your day? If you said yes to any of these, then it's time to join the Print on Demand Cast VIP list. As a VIP, you'll get our free annual design calendar, an amazing guide to help you time your creations perfectly throughout the year. And of course, we'll include a bonus dad joke each week as well. Signing up couldn't be easier. Just visit printondemandcast.com/VIP and enter your email. Don't let another day of potential pass you by. Become a part of the VIP list, grab your annual design calendar, and let's dive into a year of inspired creating together. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about Shopify versus marketplaces where you should sell. Let's get into it.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Welcome back, Pod Pals, to the POD Cast, brand new episode coming at you. I'm Josiah, and as always, joining me for this episode, Travis Ross from Make Your Mark Design. Travis, it's today Tuesday. It's Tuesday. This weekend was a blur for me. No idea what happened. Got no sleep. That's a whole nother story. How is your Tuesday going? How is your Easter weekend? And how are you just in general? How's things?
Weekend was great. My daughter came back from college for the last week, the entire week she was here, which was awesome on spring break. And then, son came over. My other son that used to be my production manager, he's been on the show, Tate. He came over for for Easter. We did a Easter egg hunt. We had 120 Easter eggs, color coded for each kid plus extras. And then we had like these little carrot Easter eggs that had like money in them too. Wow. There was only 4 of those and we have 5 kids. So you can imagine the intensity with the searching. It was so awesome. Intense. I mean, like we're talking like epic movie, like Dune 2, it was like, it wasn't like that at all, but it was a lot of fun.
It was intense. Everyone wanted the money.
I want a queen.
Exactly. But we had a great week or a great weekend, great Sunday, great food, played, what's that dumb game? I say dumb. I shouldn't because the kids liked it.
Is it dumb because you're bad at it?
No, it's the star performer and there's one that's like clay and cranium.
Oh, cranium. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, that was my Easter.
Nice.
Had a great time. What about you? I know you played at your church like 1,700 services or something.
We had 2 Good Friday services and 4 Easter services that were an hour apiece. So, and then my niece and her husband were here visiting with my mom and my oldest sister. And so my niece has a 6-month-old. And the first night it was he was up. Carter is his name. Carter was up every 2 hours screaming and not sleeping. And then Saturday night before Easter, he was up every hour screaming and not sleeping. And I was sleeping on an air mattress in the living room because we gave them our bedroom. So I got like maybe 3 hours of sleep before a day filled with 4 services. So it was pretty much on autopilot all day Sunday. But otherwise, went well, had a good weekend, got a new MacBook, which was exciting. That it's actually right here. It's very large.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
16-inch monitor or screen, I should say. But finally got something that can legitimately handle all of the graphics and video editing that I'm doing.
Chip busted.
Should have got the bigger one.
Should have got the 47-inch laptop. But I figured like literally I opened the screen. I was like, this is cool. And then I immediately thought to our next time that we travel together and how we don't need to plug this thing into a TV because it pretty much is a TV.
Exactly.
That was exciting. And and then tonight headed to a Nuggets game. So that should be fun. My first times. Nuggets game ever. So that should be a good time.
Yeah.
So
they clinched. So
they did. Yeah. And they're playing the Spurs. So we'll get to see Wembanyama play, the really tall, lanky dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be fun. I'll have updates next week, and maybe I'll post something to the Print on Demand Cast story or something. I don't know, but it's gonna be a good time, for sure. But glad to be back in the saddle again, recording new content. And before we go any further, let's go ahead and hit everyone's favorite segment, because I know you're all waiting, the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right, Travis, over the weekend I learned some breaking news, actually.
Yeah.
And if you guys follow the news, you probably heard this as well. But Sting, the singer, Sting, has been kidnapped. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's intense.
unfortunate.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that in the news,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Well, now the police have no lead. That's a joke. If you understand it, you're probably older. Anyone that doesn't know who the police are, like, that was a joke? Yeah. See, Sting was the lead singer of a band called The Police. Google it, children. Throw it in your Google machines.
Don't. Hey, you know what? Right here, though, on my just for a double dose, I have on my calendar right here. Why is Peter Pan always flying?
Don't know.
Because he never lands. A double twofer.
Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, before we do have a point of interest for you. And of course, we have the main event. Lots to get to here. But we also want to hit a review. We got another review.
Yay.
And that's the closest that we have to a bumper for a review. So I'll play it again. Here it is from Boy Mama 9. She left this to us on Easter. So big thanks to that. 5 stars. Says, great for pod. This is a great podcast for anyone wanting to learn about print on demand from the start to keep it going. Worth a listen for those that are even curious to see what it's all about. So, nice. Boy Mama 9, thank you so much. And we're going to talk about we're going to talk to those who are even curious about print on demand in our main event when we talk about Shopify versus marketplaces. But before we do that, Travis, this week we do have a point of interest.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the point of interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight, because we got some learning to do.
All right, Travis, tell us about this week's point of interest.
Sure. So this, pulling back the curtain, this actually has been on our radar for several weeks. We wanted to use it as a point of interest, but different things would come up, and so we push it back a week. But a new shipping method has popped up if you sell on Amazon in your Amazon Seller Central account. They have a banner ad now that's talking about this shipping company called Veeqo or Veeqo, V-E-E, yeah, 2 E's, Q-O. And it's actually an Amazon company, and they are basically setting themselves up to be a direct competitor with like ShipStation, ShipEasy, Pirate Ship, all of those other kind of places. And they are kind of coming out with a bang. They have a lot of really, really cool features, as well as some kind of incentives for you to start. So like right off the bat, you get to, they give you 5% back on everything you ship. I'm not sure how long that is. It might be just as long as you are with them. Okay. It's actually during your first 2 months, you'll earn 5% back on shipments. And then after this period, you get 5% depending on your choice of your shipment method. So I'm sure some are more profitable for them, so they can afford the 5% on certain ones. But still, I really, really wish this would have been available to us back, when I was doing the fulfillment place, because we were shipping, thousands of products a month, and probably could have earned a lot back, from this. But it is free, which is really, really cool. I believe you have to have an Amazon seller account, but I could be wrong about that. I haven't dug into it a whole lot, because now that I'm doing more drop shipping than actual shipping, it just makes more sense for me to just still use the post office. with the small amount of fulfillment I'm actually doing. But for like ShipStation Gold plan, you're going to spend 99 or basically $100 a month. If you connect your own carrier accounts, or ShipStation added a fee for that, like, I don't know, a year or two ago. So you actually have, if you want to add certain carriers that you have your account for, even like Amazon Buy Shipping, you could attach that to your ShipStation, but again, it would cost money. And even then, if you didn't ship it with Amazon Buy Shipping, you weren't protected if somebody would send back a product or say, hey, it wasn't delivered, or all of those things that you would have to then kind of refund the customer. You don't have to do that if you're using Veeqo, because it is an Amazon company and it technically is using Buy Shipping. And the really cool thing is that it integrates with all kinds. It integrates with, UPS, Post Office, FedEx, DHL, of course, Amazon shipping. And then on e-commerce platforms, you got Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento, WooCommerce. So all of your stuff for, doing e-commerce through either Shopify or a WordPress site. But then on your marketplaces, you've got Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Walmart, which to me, those are the big four. They don't have, I don't know, not on the high street is another marketplace that they offer that to. And I need to check it out. I've not heard of it. And then they have all kinds of other integrations with 3PLs. So you can basically have your units at another location and it'll integrate and it'll ship from that and debit the inventory and all of that stuff. The one thing that I have seen is that it is not set up with Order Desk yet. So that makes me I'm not going to use it because right now I'm still using ShipStation, even though I'm on like their lowest plan, which is only $10 a month. So it's not that big of a deal, but I don't have the buy shipping protection for my Amazon orders, which would be nice. And it's pretty cool because, like I said, the whole system is free. So if you're already paying a bunch of money on ShipStation, it might make sense to take a look at this if you have an Amazon account and just see if it could integrate into your workflow to get your packages out to customers for a lot less than maybe you're paying now. And with that 5% rebate, man, we would have made a few $1,000, just on that rebate. Plus I'm using a credit card for it, that I'm getting points on, et cetera, et cetera. It's just stacking, baby, stacking.
Stacking points. That's the secret. Maybe we'll have an episode about point stacking. Just tell people how to take advantage of all the points that are out there, and get free things by spending money on other things. Is it really free? No, but all right. So, and I would imagine soon they're probably going to integrate with Order Desk. I don't see why they wouldn't. Yeah. But it would be behoove them to, I think, and then you'll be saving money when they do that. So that'd be awesome. All right, let's get into this week's main event. Shopify versus marketplaces. Where should you sell? We're going to get into it on the other side of this vintage print-on-demand cast bumper. Speaking of vintage print-on-demand cast bumpers, I thought immediately of the comment we got on Facebook where the lady thought that she was being pulled over by the police because of a point of interest bumper that I recorded probably like week 2 of us having a podcast in the garage that was my office at that point. I distinctly remember getting done recording it and Megan, Jason's wife, my mother-in-law, popping out, open the door and being like, "What the hell are you doing?" Don't worry about it. All right. So, as I referenced before in Boy Mama 9's review, tells people if you're even curious about print on demand, this show is good for you to listen to. Also, side note, just off the top of my head, if you're listening on Spotify and realize that we don't have video anymore, it's because we switched platforms. And I've been meaning to say this. If you want video, you got to go to YouTube. PrintOnDemandCast.com/YouTube is the only place you can find the video version of this show. Now, back on track. Boy Mama 9 said, if you're even curious about listening or learning, rather, about print on demand, this podcast is good to go. Now, in episode 172, we talked about the four personality types of print on demand entrepreneurs, and the curious was one of them. So we're going to reference the curious a little bit in this week's episode as well in the main event. And Travis, I guess we pull back the curtain a little bit to the audience as well. This is going to be a little bit more of a free flow conversation than maybe other episodes in the past have been. We don't have as many definitive outline notes. We're probably just going to be chatting a little bit about this particular topic, given that you and I both have other appointments on the other side of this recording session. So, so
fair enough.
Retouch a little bit, Travis, on the curious a little bit, just to kind of tee up what we're talking about in this week's main event.
Yeah, first of all, I'll just pull back the curtain even further and say this is absolutely not the first time that we've done a show without notes.
God, no.
Lately, we've been a lot better about it, but in the beginning, man, there would be like, hey, let's just talk about this. All right, press record. Let's go.
Press record. Yeah. Exactly.
So the curious, like you said, episode 172, if you haven't listened to that, it's a really good episode. We break down 4 different stages or quote unquote personality types of print on demand entrepreneurs. And the curious is kind of the first one. You just dipping your toe in the water. You're thinking about it, just like that review was talking about. If you're curious, this episode is going to be a good one for you. But some of the symptoms, we talk about this in episode 172, so I won't belabor it, but you're feeling the FOMO, your fear of missing out on what this whole print on demand thing is. You have a certain level of perfectionism, which is actually really good and can be really bad. And then you have some like tool frustration, like some of the tools that you're not, or even process frustration, like how does this all work? And you're just kind of like, oh, I'm missing out. I have this FOMO, and it's led to this frustration of, what tools do I need? What do I need? How do I get started, process all of that stuff? So if that's you, if you feel like that, then this episode is for you. And one of the next steps we talk about in episode 172 is to, first of all, stop learning and start doing, take some chances. Even if you strike out, that's okay. But another one that kind of led us into what we're going to talk about is that if you're curious about this and you really do want to start going, you need to create a strategy for that first month of business. You need to really jump in there and get something down, and one of those things is going to be making a decision on where you are going to sell, which leads us to today's main event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and we've talked about this before in past episodes too, in terms of the differences between, seller of record and royalty based marketplaces. And so we're just going to compare and contrast a little further, maybe even retouch on some stuff that we have in the past episodes. And if you're new to the show, and this is brand new information, you can go back to our archives, and we hit on this pretty frequently. So be sure to do that as well. So when I say royalty-based platforms, I guess I'll just kind of explain that. That means that you basically get a royalty for your design because you're selling it on another person's platform. So like merch on demand, you get a royalty every time that sells because it's your design, but they're doing the lion's share of the work, the fulfillment, the printing, the shipping, all of it. So you get a small percentage for each sale. Whereas seller of record is like you are the direct point of contact. They're coming to you. You're having all of the production, the shipping, the customer service, all of that kind of stuff.
You're actually selling it. It might be on somebody else's it might be on somebody else's platform, but you are the actual seller of record. Whereas merch by Amazon, Amazon Merch on Demand, Redbubble, those things, those are the sellers of record.
Right.
They're just giving you a royalty.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So let's compare and contrast a little bit. Last week, we talked about marketing. And one of the things that I guess going back or, dialing it back a little further, the biggest difference between Shopify and marketplaces is that the marketplaces are going to bring traffic to you, the Amazons, the Etsy's, the Walmarts. They've already have traffic on their website. So you have the opportunity to cast a net and get some of that market to your store, to look at your design, to see what you are selling. Marketplaces like Shopify, you are going to have to go out and fish and hopefully find some. There's no fish to get some, or to get to pull from in the immediate. You have to go find the fish. You have to bring all your own traffic, and that also dovetails into what we talked about last week, which was marketing. You're going to have to market your ass off to get people to see your product, because you aren't the only one out there. I remember still to this day, my father-in-law was like, I want to start a novelty t-shirt website with all the novelty t-shirts we have. We're going to open a Shopify. And I said, why? Like, what's the difference between us and like all those other t-shirt sites that have more designs and sell for shit? Like, what's the difference? I knew from the beginning that it was going to take forever to break through any kind of noise and differentiate ourselves, which we talked about last week as well, from the other people that are out there in the ether doing the exact same thing that we're doing. Yeah. So that's one of the cons of Shopify. Travis, what about a pro for a Shopify market, or for selling on Shopify?
Sure. And I just want to say, I remember that store, that t-shirt store, that you lost that conversation with your father-in-law, and he went ahead and pushed forward with that project. And I remember seeing it, and it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous website, and you guys did absolutely nothing with it, right?
Yep, nothing. It was man, I had a lot of cool marketing ideas that I was going to go do some like viral marketing, and do, something that was trending at the time. And then go out there and start doing that. But that coincided really, like the launch of that was maybe 3 months prior to What For Apparel just being shut down in totality. So we never did anything with it. And then there wasn't an opportunity, which I wasn't mad about, because I was just like, it's
gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah. It's maybe we'll deep dive into that later, but there's a lot of aspects to that people could learn from.
Sure. Yeah, going back to some of the pros of Shopify. I mean, I think the biggest pro is just that it's your space. You're not renting from an Amazon or Walmart or Etsy. You're not renting space for your products on their website. This is your website. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. First of all, you can't get shut down by a platform change. I mean, you can get shut down, obviously, if you're, just doing crazy infringement stuff, and, but it's going to probably take you a lot longer to find you. And B, they're not just going to pull the rug out from under you. One day you have a store, one day you don't. You're going to have an opportunity to like change your ways if you get into trouble. And then the second thing that really benefits you with Shopify is that you don't have to pay a commission to anybody. All of the profit is yours. Obviously you're going to have to spend that money elsewhere with the marketing, most likely with like Facebook ads or an Instagram ads or however else you're going to get that traffic there. But once you get that sale, you get it all, and that's why I was able to really do really well with our Shopify site just in the last few months of the football season. And then we're going to go again right before Father's Day, probably fire it up a couple months before Father's Day, as football's kind of back in the, people are talking about training camps and all that stuff. And then, all of that kind of leading up into the season is an excellent time to relaunch that again and ignite those Facebook ads that were doing so well. And then I can potentially expand it and spend more and get in front of more people. So while I have to spend money, I would much rather drive traffic to my Shopify store than an Etsy page or an Amazon page for a couple of reasons. One, because I have a lower margin there because I'm paying that marketplace, fee. But then the other reason is because once they get there, there are a million other products that are not mine that they could potentially find. If I drive to my Shopify store, the only products they're going to see on that whole store are my products. So I am the only one that's going to I'm going to get rewarded for that. Even if they don't want the thing that I'm, actually advertising, and maybe they'll find something else that they want. So that's a benefit. And then any type of multi-purchase or item purchase, they're all my products.
Yeah.
So you get the idea that it's nice to have kind of that your own space on the internet that only you get rewarded for bringing buyers to. You don't have to pay anybody else. You don't have to risk getting shut down, all of that stuff. So those are definite pros for Shopify.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say also a pro for the marketplaces. Obviously, we kind of touched on this already, but they have all the eyes. You have the ability to really catch people's attention. We've talked about in the past how many people are on Amazon on a monthly, yearly basis, how many people buy on these big platforms. It's easy to advertise on the platforms. A lot of them have advertising systems within their own ecosystem that you can use and leverage to get people to see your sponsored listing. When someone searches something, yours is on the top, it says sponsored, and they click on it. So there's a lot of those things that bring a real huge advantage to your business. I can tell you for sure one thing in a con category from my experience, and this wasn't even really when we were selling POD on Amazon, but when we used to do wholesale on Amazon, and we'd get wholesale accounts, and we'd get legitimate wholesale accounts with, I know one we had was Jelly Belly. We sold a lot of jelly beans. And so but one day you wake up and, well, you can't sell Jelly Belly anymore. It's a restricted brand. It's like, well, what do you mean? I have an actual account. Here's the letter from my rep, and that letter goes into the Amazon ether, and who knows who sees it or if the right person ever looks at it. But until then, you just can't sell the thing that you bought a lot of inventory of. And so that's one massive con to me, is that you can just get shut down. And Amazon in particular, you'll find that when you talk to someone in a customer service, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And so there's like zero communication, like behind the scenes. And so that for me was one of the biggest headaches working on an Amazon, was like, do you people work in the same building? Probably not, but do you have notes that you keep? Like I was on the phone for 3 hours yesterday. Like, it's just, it can get infuriating. And from a merch print on demand space, you can get, that same thing can happen to you. You can get struck with someone claiming that that's their design, even if it's not, and Amazon doesn't care. They'll just shut you down. So that's frustrating for sure. Travis, anything else con wise for like the big marketplaces?
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of spoke to it a little bit there with the getting shut down. It's very hard to first of all, you may or may not have any recourse at all. And if you do have recourse, it's very, very convoluted what that recourse is and how you actually go about either reinstating the listing or combating it. It's just, it can
reinstating a whole account.
Yes. I mean, and so I think part of the print on demand space, while it's incredibly frustrating for you to get, taken down because someone else says it's their design or whatever. The problem with what we're doing is that one of our listings gets taken down, and maybe that's a big seller, and it's like, selling 10 a month or whatever, or 20 a month or more. All of our listings put together, maybe we're doing 200 or 500 a month. It's whatever that big listing is, it's such a small percentage, and it makes so little money when you with when you put it in with all of the rest of the listings on all of the different platforms. It doesn't make a lot of financial sense to really fight these things. And I think that's what these trademark bullies that you hear about. We had Ken Reel on a couple of times from Trademark Watchdogs Facebook group, and we talked about that. It doesn't make a lot of sense financially or even time wise for us as sellers to go after or to combat these things, to lawyer up and say, no, this is actually my original design and you're a trademark bully, or a copyright bully, whatever. And because you're not making enough with that one design to really justify going out. Now, other people who are selling on Amazon and they're doing, they have private label products or whatever. And it's like, 25% of their entire revenue, then it makes sense, but when it's like 1% or 0.5% of your entire revenue, and you can just go out and make another shirt or make another product or make another design. Most of the time it doesn't make sense for us to go after them. And that's what they take advantage of. So that is a con, and it can be very frustrating. The only advice I have is to go join the trademark watchdog groups, learn how to write a letter of protest when people are actually filing for these kind of bad actor trademarks and copyright and word marks, those types of things. It happens every day. And if enough people can actually learn to file these letters of protest and we can fight back, we can hopefully get the USPTO, I don't know if it's ever going to change. It's like we're gnats, and they're just swatting us away, but that is definitely a con. But there are plenty of pros for these online marketplaces. And I know you kind of spoke to
a couple of them,
one or two.
All the eyeballs on it, easy to advertise. What else would there be when you're talking about those pros for the big platforms?
I do think that there is I guess this is probably a pro to both, but there's plenty of help around like how to sell on insert platform here. There's so many YouTube videos, there's so many, Facebook groups that you can really get a lot of advice. Now, your mileage may vary on how good that advice actually is, depending on who you ask, but there are people that you can reach out to when you have an issue. And a lot of kind of the people who have been in this industry for a while have had that issue before and can hopefully and potentially walk you through it. So I think that's a con, just kind of the camaraderie. It's probably the same for Shopify.
You mean a pro?
Or a pro. Con. Yeah. It's, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's definitely a pro. For the marketplaces, and same probably for Shopify. There's enough people out there that know what's going on in that, you could probably get some help. I think the other pro is potentially for, it depends. Again, your mileage may vary depending on the marketplace, but like particularly with like Etsy, it's so freaking easy to list something. And, that's very simple. Now it does cost you money, which is a con. Doesn't cost you any money to list products on Shopify because it's it does because you're paying for the platform, but it doesn't matter if you have 10 products or 1,000 products on your Shopify store that you're not paying anymore. But I think the interface particularly with Etsy, even with Seller Central, it's not overly convoluted if you just want to add a product at a time and kind of do it over and over. One con for Etsy is that you can't bulk list. You can on Shopify, you can on Amazon, you can on Walmart. I'm just kind of, again, we talked about having just a conversation. I don't know. Can you think of any other pros for some of the marketplaces that like things that you can do on a marketplace that you can't do on Shopify? Or is it really just coming down to, hey, you get all the money on Shopify and the marketplaces have all the eyeballs? I
think for me, when you boil it down, I think those are the biggest differences. Starting out, especially if someone's curious, I would probably err on the side of saying start on a marketplace for sure. Just because it can provide some proof of concept of what you're selling is like actually doing really well and kind of give you some solid data to base the decision of opening a Shopify up. So, but yeah, I think for me, that's the biggest thing. Marketplace brings all the eyes. And so they get some money in that, right? Whether it's a listing fee, whether it's Amazon's 15, 18%, whatever, they get some of that money. You're renting the space because you are because of the traffic there. It's like a
Yeah.
hairstylist in a salon. They rent booth space because that salon's busy all the time and they're going to get appointments. So they get to the company gets to take some of that money that they make in the form of rent. So it's basically the same kind of thing. So flip side, Shopify, you get to keep all the money, but you're also doing all of the work. You're going to get the ads,
you got to pay for the rent.
Yeah, you still have to pay for rent, but there's no one in the building. You have to bring people to your empty building. Whereas Amazon, you're renting a booth in a very populated salon, and you're gonna get people that are gonna want your services, but you have to pay that rent still. So I think to me, that's huge. That's the biggest difference to me.
Yeah. I think when we boil it down, and if we could pass on any, like, I don't know, closing thoughts on these two, different approaches to print on demand, in the end, if you want to go the Shopify route, it's going to take some time, and you're really, first of all, you need to go listen to episode 189 because you're going to be doing all of those things a lot. And that, just to quickly recap, social media, you're going to be doing a ton of social media. You better be doing email marketing, because that's going to over time lower your costs down, because those emails you can now market for free. You don't have to pay for that marketing. So it's going to lower your customer acquisition cost if you can build that list. Influencer marketing, you may need to, ship out some free product and take the hit initially to get somebody to wear it, on their super popular TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And then you're probably going to be doing some paid ads. So there is definitely an upfront cost there's probably way more upfront cost with jumping onto a Shopify than even jumping onto an Amazon, which has a $40 a month pro seller fee. You're probably, and the 15%, you're probably going to get sales sooner. You're probably going to start recouping some of your time investment and your tools investment on a marketplace before you do with Shopify. So if you want to go down the Shopify route, just be patient. I think that's, the biggest, and have some bankroll. You don't have to have a ton of money, but you need to have enough that you're willing to invest into this. Yeah, because you're gonna see it's gonna be some lonely days, with hardly any traffic, and you've got to be okay with that. Now, and then on the other side, if you want to go down the marketplace route, we've got a gajillion episodes on how to sell on Amazon, how to sell on Etsy, how to sell on Walmart. To me, those are the big three. There's obviously other places you can sell online on marketplaces, and I haven't even, those are the ones I just talked about are all seller of record. There's a whole slew of royalty based ones. That's really the easiest. But again, you don't have a whole lot of control over who's seeing those products on those marketplaces, unless you also want to pay for ads on those marketplaces. So all of that to say, if you want to go down the marketplace route, it's probably easiest to get your feet wet on Etsy. Although again, Etsy's becoming more and more saturated every single day. There's more and more people launching products, and they're probably launching in your niche. And so to just make sure you differentiate your brand. So I would say, if you're going to start on the marketplace, plan to eventually launch on Shopify from the beginning. Plan, okay, in a year, in 2 years, in 6 months, in whenever, at some point, I'm going to take what I've created for Etsy and I'm going to create my own Shopify account. So you begin with the end in mind. We talk about that a lot. You begin with where you want to be. I want to be on Shopify, so my Etsy listings are going to be what I'm going to use when I move to my own personal platform. And so you can kind of, cut your proverbial teeth on Etsy in preparation for moving your brand to Shopify. I don't know. What else? If you want to go Shopify route, if you want to go the marketplace route, what are some of your thoughts on that as we just bounce it back and forth?
Sorry, say that again. My headphone fell out and I didn't hear half of what you just said.
Oh, no, I just said, as we bounce things back and forth, are there any other things that, if you want to go to the Shopify route, you should really think of this. If you want to go the marketplace route, you should really think of this.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I think the idea of cutting your teeth on Etsy is good. I think if you're going Shopify, you should probably have a pretty well-rounded brand identity, presentation, aesthetic, look, feel, because it's your space. And so if people show up and it's a smattering of things that don't really feel congruent in terms of niche or design or aesthetic, it can feel like they clicked on something by mistake, which was part of my one of my gripes with what we were going to do with that t-shirt store. Was we threw everything that we had in our archives just for the sake of throwing everything we had on a shirt and putting on a store. And I'm going through, 300 listings thinking like, that design sucks. That makes no sense. What is this all doing on the same store? That's my thing. So I think some intentionality on that, if you're going to go the Shopify route, is pretty huge. And again, you can cut your teeth on that with Etsy, because Etsy gives you that opportunity to kind of be more of an aesthetic. Amazon, not so much. But yeah, I would always say start at a marketplace and move to Shopify. But to your point, Travis, have that be a part of the plan, not something that you suddenly think of doing. So yeah, just intentionality on that approach for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's probably pretty much it for this.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
If you are somebody who is, in that kind of curious demographic, again, go back to episode 172 if you're not familiar with the different personality types. But if you're in that, demographic and you're feeling that FOMO, you're wanting to take some action, I really do think this is one of the first decisions you have to make. And there's no right or wrong decision. You can go down one path and realize, oops, I should have made a different decision, and then go back and take what you've learned from that one platform, take all of those listings even that you've created for that platform, and just go do something else. Go start another platform. There's no shame in that. But like I said, it's time to start doing. I think you said something in that episode, Josiah.
Information obese.
Information obese. I love that. Yeah. You've learned so much about this thing, and it's just, it just needs to get out. You need to start doing. So what are you going to do this week to move forward in your goals for launching, for beginning, for uploading, for whatever that is? That's, we always come back to that, right? We always come back to doing some sort of action that's going to move your business forward. That's really what it all boils down to. There's really not necessarily any wrong decisions when it comes to choosing a platform. It's just choosing one and actually listing some products there.
Yep, 100%. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. That is all we have for you on this episode. But if you're listening and you haven't already, do yourself a favor and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, printondemancast.com/VIP. You will get more insight, more information on that email weekly. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to be belligerent and just ask you questions and hammer your inbox. Nope, one email per week with extra information, sometimes stuff that's on the show, sometimes things that won't be on the show, but you will also get a design calendar in exchange for your email when you sign up, which will help you map out the holidays that are coming up. Of course, we have Father's Day, we have 4th of July, we've got on the distant horizon Christmas. It's coming. We're already in Q2, people. Okay, Q2 started yesterday, so crazy. This is almost halftime when you're looking at the seasons in terms of selling. So you'll get that as well. And Travis, anything else about the VIP list that I missed before we hit the outro?
I don't think so. Just join that, and you'll kind of be in the know of whatever's going on with the Print on Demand cast, at least. And then you'll also be reminded, hey, we dropped a new episode. You can say, oh, you know what? Here's one thing I will say. If you have signed up for the list and you are not getting it for some reason, send me an email at info@printondemandcast.com and say, hey, I'm not getting your email, but I signed up. And I can check and make sure that your email is on our list. And then at that point, it's probably going to spam or something. So I would encourage you to check your spam folder, or your promotions folder or whatever, and make sure we're not in there. because we are sending them out every week. And if you're not getting them, we want to make sure you get them. Also, if you signed up and you never got your design calendar, let me know too, info@printondemandcast.com, and I'll get that to you. So yeah, I guess I did have more to say about it.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening. I look forward to being back with you next week. But until then, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.
In a world where businesses everywhere are trying to make print-on-demand sales, one podcast goes above and beyond every week to bring the most POD-specific information there is, all to help save the day, every day. Don't succumb to the enemies of your print-on-demand business. Sign up today for the Print on Demand Cast VIP email at printondemandcast.com/VIP. This time, it's for real.